1999, yeah, the first ever Billabong Pro Mundaka champion, Mark Occhilupo, taking it out on his one of his wins along the way to his first and only world title in 1999. Mr. Occy out in the water up against Toby Martin. And Toby, another one of those guys, he's just had the unluckiest of years over the last couple of years. A recurring shoulder injury that...
well, it looks like we do have the Raging Bull up and riding on his first wave of the heat. And looks like a surfer out the back paddling as well.
Toby Martin having a look at the second wave. And a bit fat. Oop, Toby's down, so tough luck for Toby on his first one. And Occy throwing down his typical Occy cutbacks, little Rio there. But you can tell the tide is definitely having an effect now. It's still double overhead out there, but
I mean,
you got a fat double overhead.
You got to think with that last wave that Durbridge had, it's going to be hard to call the event off. I mean, that wave was a solid wave, and it was really well surfed. It was a very spectacular finish to that last heat.
Yeah, if we still get a solid swell like that coming through the arena here, rolling down the river mouth, there's no way they're going to call this thing off. And this has absolutely been almost a historic day for the Billabong Pro Mundaka. I think this could possibly equal or even beat their record for most ever heats in a day, and definitely some of the best conditions that we've seen here at the event since it came onto the tour back in 1999. Of course, unfortunately, had to be canceled in 2001 due to the 9/11 incident, and in 2005 due to the dredging incident. But the boys are super stoked it's back and better than ever, Dino.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, they're definitely lucky to get waves like this. I mean, there's been lots of really high-scoring waves today, and, you know, tube riding and big opportunities for really good scoring waves. So as we move into the middle part of round number 2, we'll have to wait and see how far we get along in this event. We do have a 14-foot high tide today, which we're probably, you know, that's around 5 o'clock, so we'll have to wait and see.
Low tide was at 11 a.m. this morning local time. It's now 3:45, so most educated guesses would have thought that we would have already called the event off by now, but as you say, Dino, when sets like the one in that last heat keep rolling through, you have a really hard time saying, maybe we're going to stop before the next heat. And as Mike Parsons explained in one of his interviews earlier, the thing is you don't want to leave the guys out there high and dry and just have the whole ocean go flat halfway through a very crucial round 2 heat. But out in the water right now, our 1999 world champion, Mr. Mark Occhilupo, starting things off with a 3.5, and Toby Martin, also out of Australia, in yellow, a 0.67. And there's one happy Australian, Adrian Ace Buchan.
He got through on a close one. That was a really close heat, and could have went either way. And both surfers surfed really well.
Oh, yeah, they did. And looks like we should be cutting over to an interview with GT in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. GT, take it away.
All right, I've just caught up with Mr. Adrian Ace Buchan. Ace, you know, it's good to see you in the water and not in some misty injury land.
Yeah, it's good to be out of the gym and back in the water. I spent so much time just trying to get my foot better, and, yeah, watching the guys on the webcast at home and thinking about being there myself. So, yeah, to kind of be out there at 6-foot Mundaka is pretty surreal, you know. Sometimes I kind of wondered if I'd ever get back in the water this year and stuff. So, yeah, it's really good.
Well, it's really awesome to see you surf, and you know, having not seen you for a while, I tell you, brother, you really seem to kind of picked up where you left off. Just really loose and fluid out there.
Yeah, I felt okay. I kind of felt like maybe I could have picked one more. I would have liked to have had something a bit higher than that 6.67, especially. I couldn't believe it when they read out 9 point, and I didn't know whether, you know, Bieber's going to get the score. I don't know what he did. It must have been really close to not get a 10 that high. So, yeah, you know, sometimes you get those calls go your way and other times you don't. So, yeah, I'm stoked to be through.
No, so you're sitting out there. Bede catches his last wave, needs a 9.84. You're feeling pretty good about it, and then boom, you hear a 9 point, and you're like, what? What was it?
Yeah, I knew it was going to be a good score. I kind of paddled for it myself, and Bede was looking, and I could see it had a good line to it. And then, yeah, I knew I was going to get something decent, so I was kind of just thinking I'd use my priority at the end of the heat, which I did anyway. But, yeah, I don't know. I'd like to see his wave. He must have been unlucky not to get a 9.84.
Well, I'm not going to lie. It was a pretty special wave, but I'll let you check that out. Let's talk about now the rest of the year. You sat out the better part of the year, regrettably with an injury. So at this point, are you kind of just going, okay, look, this is my chance to really get my head around the game? Are you just diving and going, hey, I'm taking down anything I can, get right now? Like, where's your head at?
Yeah, mainly I'm just really stoked to be here, and of course I want to do really well, It's been tough. Like, I've lost to Andy and Kelly the last two events, and coming up against those guys, you got to be on your game and kind of take it to them right from the start of the heat. So I made a few mistakes, and yeah, learning pretty quickly from all that stuff. So I love the tour. It's amazing being on tour with all the guys, and the waves have been pretty fun the last few events, and yeah, I want to try and just finish out the year really well, and kind of, I came here not to sit at home and just let the guys know that, I'm here to compete as well, and so yeah, hopefully I can get through a few more rounds.
Now again, not to just because we're kind of being candid here, and not to throw it out there because I know it's not what you really are looking for. But what about the injury wild card? Is that something that plays, a factor for what you're doing right now?
Yeah, I mean, you asked me about it the other day, but yeah, like when I'm at the events, that's, it's not even on my mind. But sure, come the end of the year, I might have to apply for it. I mean, I'm not sure what the kind of maths are. Yeah, bad luck, Bede. With getting back in without kind of surfing, all the 8 events. So I'm pretty sure it'll be a really tough task, but just wait and see what happens.
Well, I like your shot here. Go dry off, my brother. Fun to watch you guys do battle.
Cheers. Thanks.
Thanks, Ace. All right, boys. Ace Bucking is for real.
Well, we'd like to welcome Luke Egan here into the box.
Thanks, Dino.
And let him give us a little insight on what's going on.
Yeah, well, the tide's coming in a lot now as we see paddling up and riding. Toby Martin, look at the size of these waves at Mundaka today. I was so stoked to paddle out there, and it's way overhead. It's all time.
Yeah, it's really surprising that these waves have keep coming in, even though it's approaching high tide.
So we see Toby having trouble negotiating some of the bumps on that wave, but I think someone said that high tide is
at 5.
5, so it's pretty amazing we've gotten this far, but this heat, the waves do look a bit fatter, don't they?
Absolutely, and the last heat, if it wasn't for Bede's wave, it was it looked really hard to surf, and somehow he pulled that 9.8 out. Yeah,
that was radical. We were just watching that wave, and 9.8, and he needed a 9.4.
9.84.
9.84, sorry. How unfortunate for Bede there. He's come off a win from Trestles, and unfortunately, I think in Hossegor at the Ripcord Pro, he got a 33rd, and then he's into another one right now. So Bede's not happy right now.
Yeah, I don't know if he could have done much more on that wave. He just attacked it, and like you were saying, the tide came in a lot, and that wave was a lucky one on the bank. It kind of kept its form, but
yeah. And Dino, it looks like Toby Martin's going for a board change. I think he's directing the ski over to near the wharf. As we see these sets, even though the tide's coming in, they're still rolling in, and Occy's out there with priority, sitting there on his lonesome as Toby seems to be going for a board change.
Well, we do have the Raging Bull out the back all by himself, a definite crowd favorite, and looks like he's paddling into this wave, Luke. Let's see if he can get it.
He's having a look at this one. No, he's a bit too far out in the shoulder there for that one. That had a nice shape right off the top of the point, where probably with the tide so high, I'd tend to sit a bit further away up the point there, because the start of those waves seemed to be a little bit hollower and in a bit nicer shape. So.
Yeah, it looked like, unfortunately, he paddled right outside the bank there.
Occy, if you can hear us, move up the point, mate.
Come on, get up there. Yeah, he's I'm sure he'll have some opportunity here. We got plenty of time remaining and only a couple waves ridden so far.
Yeah, as we saw, Occy's first wave was a 3.50, and that second wave of Toby Martin, was that his second wave, the 4.17 just then? I'm not too sure, but he has a 0.67 as well. It's be interesting to see what Toby, the board change, does for him. That board looked a little bit too small or something on that wave. He didn't seem happy with it. So saw him yelling and screaming at the wharf. Someone's going to throw off something longer, I guess. But
So how was it out in your heat, Luke? Looked pretty solid in your heat too. Were you surprised when you got out there that those sets were coming in?
yeah, I was surprised how much the swell picked up with the tide rushing in today, and I was just stoked to get out there and there'd be some decent waves here. That was all I was hoping for. Coming to Mundaka and Billabong Europe giving me a wild card. I was just hoping to get to surf Mundaka at that size, so I'm happy. Made some pretty crucial errors in that heat, though.
That one where you went for that big rocketing floater and you kind of aired like a blast floater and you kind of aired out of it.
I just Dino had a 9-point ride, and I just knew that I had to do one big turn on a wave that it had to have some substance, and then ride the rest of that wave out. And I tried to do that a few times. And once someone's got a 9 against you, it's only 2 scoring waves, you have to at least get a 9 or 2 8s to even be anywhere near them if they've got a low second score. So that was what I was thinking, and but didn't pull it off. Dino surfed very well. He looked very on. His timing looked great. I saw him do some snaps in front of me, and he seems to be reading the wave really good out here at Mundaka.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure you would know, living close to him, the kid surfs probably more than anyone else. He's always out there, sneaking around and getting some waves and practicing. And yeah, I definitely looking for him. But me being up here, I didn't count you. I never counted you out. I was I was hoping you were going to give it to him for the old boys.
Yeah, old and a little bit rusty, but I gave it a go. Unfortunately, a couple of errors there that Yeah, anyway.
It looks like we're going to have an interview with Mark Occhilupo on Mundaka here shortly.
It's a really special place, Mundaka. It's just authentic. It's like in an old fairy tale, this little town. It's a classic town, and just love been coming here for like almost 20 years, and I've won the contests. I think I've got to the semis a couple times or something, but it's been good to me, and I love the place, I love the people for sure.
Well, great hearing from the Raging Bull, and currently he is in the heat, in the water, and it is heat number 7 of the 2006 Billabong Mundaka Pro, sitting next to Luke Egan here, and getting some insight.
So, Dino, you been getting any waves since you've been here in Europe?
No.
Working, huh? Boys have got you working.
I'm pretending to work, trying.
There you go.
I like working and surfing, but it's been not much work and no surf, so
Yeah.
trying to, I'm stoked to be getting the event underway here today.
It's fantastic. I bet you Reed Pinder and Carl Weiser and Craig Sage are sighing some relief today. That's all it takes for the whole thing to come together here at Mundaka is some swell and the sand's back in position. Sand's unreal out there from low to high tide. We're only like an hour off high tide now, and this place is still breaking. That's pretty rare for Mundaka to still make it through to the high tide. I know Mike Parsons right now, contest director, would be looking closely at the conditions, seeing it's filling up so much, and just checking the wave count and the quality of the waves these guys are getting as we see Toby having a paddle, just having a sniff at that one, and Occy on the outside decides he wants to take this one. So he comes down, a little lumpy there, comes off the top, nice little cutty there by Ock.
Look at that. Yeah, the patented Occy.
Nice hack there for Ock off the top then.
Another big snap from Mark Occhilupo. Just vintage surfing there.
It's pretty bumpy out there. You can see the tide's kind of playing with the face of the wave a little bit, and Occy negotiating it pretty well. And he's got some nice turns on this ride for a nice score. I'd say it'd be going to be the top score of the heat so far.
Yeah, he looked like he kept his composure pretty good. Even those bumps were hitting him, he buckled down and hacked that 3rd or 4th turn there.
Definitely, and when it gets this full out here, it is very difficult to ride. You're on a wave that's got a lot of power, but the wave's not a very good shape. So it's very difficult to get right in the pocket and get those really good turns.
Well, it looks like Toby Martin paddling out the back there, Luke.
Toby up and riding. Did he change boards? I'm not sure. The spray looks very similar, but I think it is a change of board here. It does look a lot better than the one he was riding previous wave.
Looks a little smoother, huh?
Does, definitely. I think he's gone for a longer board here as he goes up for a nice hack out of the top. Gets held up a little bit, but...
nice finishing maneuver from Toby Martin there. Nice little snap in that closeout section.
Definitely, and yeah, that board does look much better. It was a wise move on that board change there for Toby as he goes right into the inside and just getting as close to the jet ski as he can to get the ride back out to the end of the point.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Plenty of time remaining here, and those last two scores will be coming down the pipe here. Nice shot of the Water Patrol there escorting Mark Occhilupo out into the lineup. You got to think if you hit the wrong bump out there at full speed, you might break your board in half on the back of that sled there, Luke.
Yeah, I actually spread my legs out and put my knees on the sled so that you're not putting so much pressure on your board, and it seems to give you a little bit more traction, as well as we got the replay up of Occy negotiating those kind of bumps there, but still just pushes through with his power.
Plenty of swell there.
That was a nice snap right there for Ock. I don't think we've got a score for that one yet.
Another big hack there, and right there, almost coming unglued. Yeah, that definitely. That was nice little closer move for Ock.
Just negotiating all the bumps, and I think that was a six-point ride for Occy. So Toby Martin with a 6.5 on the replay you're about to watch, and so Toby's actually in the lead, and Occy needs a 4.68. So as we watch this replay of Toby, this board does look much better than the previous one, as we see him gliding a bit more drive out of his turns. As he
much smoother, huh?
Definitely, as he goes into his second off the top.
Really nice closeout snap there, kind of free falling out of the sky.
So this heat getting pretty interesting, Dino. These guys have had very similar waves. Occy with a 6-point ride and Toby Martin with a 6.5 for their top scoring rides.
Well, I think we're going to have an interview here with Mark Occhilupo on a session that happened about a week and a half ago here at Mundaka, and let's hear what he has to say about this, what they called the super session.
Heard it was a good one.
Heard it was a good one too.
Joel and myself left at about 4:30 in the morning from France to get down here. We were one of the first kind of guys on tour to get down here. Well, we were the first, and just so excited. Tide wasn't quite right yet. We had breakfast and then it was starting to get good. We got really excited, got out here. Halfway through my sesh, I snapped my leash on the board and I lost it. I couldn't even find it, so I didn't really care. I just ran to the car for another board, and that's when I was trying to get a leg out from someone. But eventually someone found it out to see. But you just, you kind of put everything down when Mundaka breaks. Whatever you got to do is just not important. You just get down here just for the right tides, and for the right tide, and it's going to be barreling, and you just can't miss it.
So those guys were really lucky. I've heard so many stories. I've actually seen some fantastic photos of Joel Parkinson sitting no hands in like 20 foot back in a pit out here on that day, and
wow,
the waves look very, very special. It'd be great if we could get one of them this week, Dino, to have the finals or something like that in. It'd just be fantastic to see the world's best duke it out there in those conditions. Yeah,
I guess a lot of the crew were out that day. I heard that Bruce Irons, Kelly Slater, Andy Irons, Corey Lopez, Joel Parkinson, Occy. I actually saw a video clip of Bruce Irons on what he called the wave of his life, and he got barreled so long that the guy stopped filming him, and then he came out down the line, and the guy missed it.
Yeah, that must be a golden rule for a photographer, especially on a 7-time world champion. You should keep recording. You never know what's going to happen. Never lived that one down, whoever that was. But Mundaka, 5 minutes for the Billabong Pro. Heat number, what heat is Occy in here?
7.
Heat number 7. Mike Parsons will be looking pretty closely at the conditions. As we can see there, that wide shot we got of the island. You can see how high the tide is. If you saw that shot earlier, there would be dredging sand on the inside at low tide and all sorts of stuff. My earlier heat out there was sitting in a rip. Just
That was crazy.
Trying to get to the bottom of a couple of those ones in the sand bowl. I was having fun with it though, you know. I was into a couple of those and looked down. I'm like, whoo, can I?
Yeah,
make that?
I was watching it with Mike Parsons, and we were both kind of cheering you on, and looked like you were onto something.
Yeah, I just figured I wanted to stay away from the other guys, and figured if you'd got to the bottom of one of those things and got a nice barrel. I actually got a nice barrel but didn't come out. I nearly came out, and I actually hurt my hip on that wave, but. That's what I was looking for, was just to try and get a barrel up that end and stay away from everyone.
Did you hit the bottom?
No, I just kind of, the lip hit me in the chest and twisted me around as I was trying to come out the doggy door, and just kind of old injury that keeps reoccurring.
Oh, wow.
Rig's getting old. Don't bounce back.
I got a lot of those. Well, it looks like we're with only 4.5 minutes remaining. Currently in first position is Toby Martin, and the Raging Bull, Mark Occhilupo, needing only a 4.88. So we'll have to wait and see how this heat ends, but shortly after that is heat number 8, and it looks like the guys are going to hit the water, and in that heat is Mickey Pecan, and I'm not quite sure who's with him. We got Frederick Patacia Jr., going against Mickey Pecan from France.
Okay, so still some good matchups here in the second half of the second round. Still to come. Let's hope that we can get through the tide. And I think Occy's got priority, has he, Dino?
Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure he does. And not needing much of a score, only needing a 4.68.
Which the Raging Bull is well capable of, especially out here at Mundaka. He's, as he said in that little piece we saw before, he's won the event, he's had a second, few semi-finals. He can find some form here, the old Ock.
Yeah, well, you being a former event winner, how do you contribute, staying tuned here when you wait so long to compete? It's quite difficult for the mind.
Yeah, it is. You got to be pretty focused and keep a good routine. And the year before last, when I won this event, I just, even on the flat days, I go around to Backyao and still surf for a few hours just to keep loose and keep everything intact and just get a good routine. You got to be staying somewhere nice, and you got to have it all together to be able to go through. You can sit around here for 2 weeks waiting for this contest to happen, and can get a little old just sitting around. So I just try to make sure that I've just got a good daily routine on the days off, and I'm still surfing and still moving around, not getting too lazy and just hanging out.
Yeah, I see a lot of the boys kind of getting impatient a little bit, but nonetheless, the patience paid off today with solid waves here at Mundaka, and we're lucky to be on heat 15 of the day. Almost halfway
amazing.
Through round number 2.
Yeah, it's good. It's really good. I bet you Mike Parsons and Craig Sage are stoked with what's happened today. And even at low tide, I didn't think it was going to get this big, but when that tide turned and started rushing in, it's probably double the size, wouldn't you say, Dino, as when we started this morning? Definitely.
Absolutely. I mean, I woke up at 7, and I didn't really see much at all, but then again, the tide was rushing out. I mean, obviously, you were in a heat, so you would know better than myself, but I mean, it looked like I couldn't believe how fast the tide was going out.
As we see on your screen now, Andy Irons, Joel Parkinson, great friends of Occy, and they're out there. Look at that concerned look on Parko's head. He's not happy. He wants Ock to get through this heat. So these guys are stressing more than Ock is, I think. But he's still got a little bit of time left. He's how long we got left there, Dino?
1 minute and.
No,
looks like we have 1 minute. Oh no, it's we got 20 seconds.
No wonder Parko is looking so concerned in that last shot. Occy, he's running out of time here. The murderer's got the better of him with only about 12 seconds to go. Occy would be very frustrated as there's a little couple bumps on the horizon, but I tell you what, with this high tide, I don't think it's going to happen. Unfortunate for Ock there.
Yeah, that was really bad luck for